Self-consciousness and self-awareness are two completely different things. One we want a little bit more of, and one we want a little bit less of. Let's talk about that.
Hey everybody, and welcome to I Got This with Lex and MGP. I am Lex and I've been a personal trainer over the last 5 years. Martha has been my client for 3 years, and over that time she has lost over 50 pounds and changed her entire perspective on life. Join us each week as we dive into health, mindset, and everything in between.
Hey everybody, and welcome back to I Got This Pod with Lex and MGP. Today we are talking about not caring what people think. And, we were talking about it before the episode, and I think we both have our own journeys with this. Mm-hmm. And I kind of wanted to dig deep into each of our journeys and when we kind of stopped caring to an extent. But we did say, you have to care a little bit what people think.
I care what you think.
I care what you think too.
So, there you go.
I do care what people think in terms of I want to be a person that.
Well, you have to be a member of society.
Yeah, you can't just go rob a bank and not care what people think.
Exactly.
You can't just go spit on people because you don't care what they think.
Yeah. No, you just can't walk around being a jerk.
Yeah, you don't want to be an asshole, honestly.
Yeah, exactly.
But kind of in terms of not caring what people think in what you do in your day and how you take care of yourself and the things that you do. And I think that's a really hard topic. Mm-hmm. I definitely was, once upon a time, the person who wanted to be friends with everyone. And I feel like I was had such a low self-confidence that was my need to want to be friends with everyone. So I'm curious, what you think in that terms and kind of hear your journey about it, Martha.
Mm-hmm. I really think that's a common mindset, to be honest.
Yeah.
As far as wanting everyone to like you or wanting to be friends with everyone.
Yeah.
And I've discovered that if you try to be friends with everyone, you're not really friends with anyone.
Yeah.
At the same time. And for me, it really came to light when I ran for office a couple years ago. And, when I realized, first of all, that people were dropping me from their circle because they thought I stood for something, even whether I did or not.
Yeah.
Or supported me or didn't support me because of this, that, or the other thing, even though I'd known them for maybe 20, 30 years. So it really just became kind of evident to me who my real friends were. And even, you don't have to agree on every issue or every life decision with everyone, of course. But it just really became important to me that I had to be who I am. And I couldn't put on different airs for different people. And I had to adjust to, what? I'm making some choices for me. And I'm sorry you don't like those choices, but this is how it is.
Yeah.
And that was really, really hard. And it was really hard to take some of the personal attacks, even whether they were true or not. That became an issue. So I think that's where it kind of started for me. And then after the election, I started making some choices as far as, my adventures that we've talked about in other episodes. And people have said to me, well, aren't you too old for that? Or why would some woman want to do that? Or just things of that nature. And I'm like, because I want to. And frankly, I don't care if you want me to or not, because it has no bearing on you. These are just acquaintances saying things like, you're too old to do that. Well, who are you to tell me I'm too old to do it? Because I'm doing it.
Exactly.
So that's kind of where I had to come to terms with, do I really care what they think? And am I not going to do it just because someone at work says you're too old to do that? But I probably would have second guessed myself 5 or 6 years ago, because I'd have been like, oh, so-and-so is like, oh, you're too old. Maybe I am too old. Then I would have lost that confidence to do it.
Yeah. Do you think those words got in your mind or got in your head? Do you think when somebody says you're too old to do that, or I can't believe that you're doing that, do you think you would sit with that, let it ruminate in your mind and let it truly affect your decision? Would you then decide, oh, she's right, I'm probably too old,
Correct.
I probably can't do that?
I think in the past I would have.
Right.
Or just any opinions that people had about things. Maybe I just really liked something else and they would say something negative about whatever thing that I liked. I don't even know what it is.
Yeah.
And I would let their opinions override mine at times.
Okay. And when in times of your life did you let those opinions affect what you did? When did you, before this era of the new MGP, allow these thoughts and opinions affect you?
I know that we'll go to work, for example. We'd be in meetings at work, and I would have in my mind some opinions on curriculum development, let's say. And some other teachers who were maybe a little more boisterous than me or whatever would shoot down my ideas and force theirs. And I would be like, oh, I guess they're right. I don't know why I thought the way I did. I just kind of...
Right. You couldn't stand, you were almost so conscious of them that you were unable to stand by your opinion.
Exactly.
And self-conscious, right?
And even though it turned out that in a lot of situations, I probably was right and things did not... go the way they should have. But yes, I was too afraid of rocking the boat. I've done that with friends too. They have really strong opinions about something. It could be even something that like an activity we were going to do. And I'd be like, oh, let's go do this. And they'd be like, oh no, that's stupid. Why would you want to do that? And I'd be like, oh yeah, I guess it is stupid. Like things like
that's like, and
it doesn't change. I mean, that's like stuff that happens when you're a kid all the way into your adulthood.
Yeah.
And now those aren't even people I'm friends with anymore.
Isn't it shocking? You changed the people that you actually surrounded yourself with.
Yes.
That made you feel that they didn't perceive the way you wanted to be perceived or you didn't feel supported. So once you gained this sense of self, you chose to surround yourself with people who supported your ideas.
Right, exactly. And it's not that they were yes men to me by any means. I mean, obviously, not everyone in my life I don't agree with on every issue.
No.
But they're people that I can have conversations with and I can be secure in a differing opinion.
Exactly. Well. What are some areas in which more recently you feel like you have had these thoughts, like somebody else might think poorly of this, but I'm really proud to have those around me supporting this thing, even though some others may say that I'm maybe too old or too this or too that or whatever.
Right. I mean, honestly, kind of going back to work a little bit, but we're trying to do some changes. Post-COVID education has been challenging.
Yeah.
Getting the kids back in school and learning how to do school, let alone the actual content.
Yeah.
And I've been a real proponent of, are we doing what's best for the kids?
Yeah.
And there are a lot of people I work with that are like, well, are we doing what's best for the teachers? And while I don't disagree with that, of course, we have to do what's good for us as well. But we have to keep the kids in mind first.
Yeah.
And I have not been afraid to stand up and say that anymore, where I may have been in the past.
Yes.
So there is some of that. And have I rocked the boat a little bit? Yup.
Good for you.
I mean,
impressive. Good for you.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
And I've had people say to me too, for example, last year when I went to motorcycle school, that was a big one where a lot of people were like, why are you doing that? You're a middle-aged woman. Why are you doing that?
Yeah.
Because I want to.
Because you want to.
Exactly.
Right?
And when they would say it, and in the past, even if I had done the activity, I probably wouldn't have talked about it.
Yes.
And now I'm not afraid to talk about it. I'm not afraid to put it out there. And it's amazing how many now have kind of come from, oh, we thought you were too old, but you actually did it. Like you put your money where your mouth is. And you're not just saying you're going to do things, you're actually doing them. And so a couple of the naysayers are still naysayers, whatever. And a couple of people have been like, I need to adapt that attitude as well.
I appreciate that. I love that. You set an example of who you want to be and you share it with those around you and whether they support you. And again, not yes men. Yes men are very different than supporters. Supporters will tell you when they think that what you're doing is not the best option. I think that is a topic we should talk about, naysayers versus, or I'm sorry, supporters versus yes men. I don't want yes men around me. I don't want people who are like, hoorah, do whatever you want to do.
Right.
No, I want people around me that are going to support my good ideas and make me think twice about my ideas that are a little faulty.
Yeah, I mean, of course we all want cheerleaders in our lives, but I also want that cheerleader to be like,
Yes.
when I need that
when I need
given
it
to me as
and
well.
90% of the time as a Taurus, I'm going to still do the thing that I want to do.
Yeah, right with you.
Yep. I'm sorry. I try to be teachable. I try to listen to those in my life. I've really worked on that, but 90% of the time now I'm not going to listen, which is good and bad.
Yeah.
But I love that. And when I think about being self-conscious, so that is caring about what people think. It stems from being self-conscious. So it's not how others people, it's how we ourselves, how we think others perceive us. So whether that person is telling you, oh, you're too this, you're too that, you're too broke, you're too naive, you don't have enough education, you don't have the talent to do the things that you want to do.
Who do you think you are?
Yes.
I've heard that one.
You have had somebody say, who do you think you are? Really?
Oh, yeah.
Who has said that to you?
When I was running for office. Who do you think you are that you can run for office? Well, I almost pulled it off, didn't I?
Quite close, right? Anybody can do it.
Yeah.
Literally.
Anyone
can do it in the United States, right? Over the age of what? Like 18,
yeah.
I think.
Yeah, you just have to be an adult.
Yeah.
I mean, president, I think you have to be 35, but.
Oh, is that the case?
Yeah.
I couldn't run for president, huh? All right. You don't want me to be president. I like that.
Maybe we do.
We definitely do not. No, I love this topic. I think we all hit a point in our lives, and I definitely think sometimes it does come with age. It comes with experience. I think in our teen years, we are most self-conscious, honestly.
Oh, well, for sure. And some of that's brain development, too.
Yes. I like the way you put that. And along with it, that social media, of course, you look at the people, everybody else and what they're doing, going back to FOMO. Oh, they're doing this, so I should be doing this. If I'm not doing this, what are they going to think about me? And I think that those thought patterns are very common. I also see young women who come into the gym and they are very self-conscious when they come in as well and are worried about what people are thinking, about how I'm dressed, what exercises I'm doing. Do I look dumb doing these exercises? Am I even doing them right? A lot of people sign up for personal training for that reason.
For sure.
Which I love. I mean, I want you to be doing them right. But sadly, I don't want that to be the thing that stops you from walking into the doors at a gym, right? Or wearing certain clothes. What are they going to think of me in those clothes? Again, I think aesthetically, we dress the way we dress because we care about what people think and the image that we portray to the world outside of us. So there's a good and a bad to it, but then when it stops you from doing things that could change your life or make you a stronger person, that's when it becomes detrimental.
Absolutely. I mean, I think that I see that a lot with the teenagers that I work with. They're afraid to try things or they're afraid to say something in class because they don't want to be perceived in a certain way. And it's not only that they don't want to be perceived as being dumb, like they don't want to say something wrong, but sometimes the smart kids don't want to say something because they don't want to be perceived as being the smart kid.
Isn't that crazy? Whereas now, as you get older, people are very loud in telling you how smart they are. I would like
to me, those are usually not the smart people, but
isn't it funny how that is? The people who overshare their knowledge. I want to bring this topic up. It's kind of off topic, but
we like that.
Mansplaining.
Oh Lord.
Okay, so let's talk about this. Mansplaining, I think it's quite derogatory to men talking. It's basically men talking to women about things that they already know and like over educating them. But in reality, I want you to think about any mansplainer you know. They are actually just people splainers, and they do that to every person, not just women to women, but also to like man to man or child to child, whatever. They over-explain themselves because they want to prove their knowledge because that's who they are. They're a knowledgeable person in their own perception, and that's how they want you to perceive them. And so I'm knocking down the actual idea of what a mansplainer is. It's just a people splainer.
Or it's a man over explaining to anyone.
Yes, to anyone. Or a woman over explaining.
For sure.
I've met quite a few women over explainers.
Oh, I have too.
Yes. I think it's funny because those people also care so much that they are the most knowledgeable person in the room. And you go from children who don't want to be the smart kid to later on where smart is good, right?
Most of the time.
Most of the time.
Sometimes if you're too smart, you get pulled into things. I'm kidding.
I don't know what that means, honestly.
We'll cut that. I'll explain it later.
You explain that later. But I just thought that was funny.
But I think we're sensitive to it as women sometimes, though. I think that's where the stereotype came. So I've seen men over-explain to other men, and they'll be like, dude, I get it.
Yeah.
Whereas I think women are a little bit, because we tend to be more softer with someone in authority, just because of the way we were raised, we allow it to happen and then we just get irritated.
Well, yeah, but then we're blunt to say now in our society,
Right.
I'm blunt to say, no, I know.
Yeah.
Or like, oh yeah,
We're
no,
getting there now. Exactly.
Yes.
But I'm thinking that's why it perpetuated for so long.
Right.
Yeah.
I think that makes sense. That does make sense. But I think we are at that stage in society where women are no silly girls to say, no, I'm very aware of the knowledge you're telling me. Like, yes, I am aware of what you're saying. We can have an actual conversation. Going back to being conscious of how people perceive you, it does affect how you act. And then once you become self-aware and like have a stronger sense of self, you're less worried of that perception and your ability to do things. I'll go into kind of my experience with it. When, I think my biggest change was after college, always. I was more so worried about what everybody was doing on Friday, Saturday night, and on the weekends. Again, that is so normal. I went through that for quite some time. It wasn't until I was about 24, I went and lived in Farmington in a little apartment. It felt by myself. And it was so far from like all the people I knew in Royal Oak and my family and friends. It wasn't that far. It was 30 minutes, but it felt like an island.
It could have been, right. It could have been an island.
Yes, it felt like an island to me. And when I started to like really isolate myself from what the chatter around what everybody else was doing, I realized I was like, wait, nobody cares what I'm doing. And at that time, I started spending like all day Saturday, all day Sunday, every single day at work. And I was able to honestly progress who I was as a woman and in my professional career and in myself. And I was able to do, just not care about what is everybody else doing on the Saturday night. They're going out to the bar, they're all meeting up and they're all drinking. Or what are the girls doing, or all these people are traveling. And it was, yes, FOMO, but it was also, if I'm not doing that, then I'm a loser. If I'm not doing that, then I must not be successful. If I'm not doing that and I'm not traveling like everybody around me is traveling, then there must be something wrong with that, what I'm doing in my life. And once I kind of shut everyone out in a weird way, I honestly isolated myself for a solid 8 months. It did an amazing thing for my perspective. And I was like, wait, I don't really care. I've progressed as a human more than anything. I think you watched me grow during that time more than anyone.
Yeah. No, I've told you how much you matured. Remember?
Yeah. It was crazy.
Yeah.
And prior to that, also when I was training, I just wanted everybody to like me. So same exact thing. That's insecurity. I want you to like me. I don't want you to think I'm a mean trainer or I'm a bad trainer. So I'm going to call you girlfriend and I'm going to be your friend. And that's not, now I would rather you get results than like me.
Yeah, I can attest to that. Put this 35-pound vest on, Martha. I don't care if you don't want to.
Don't care.
I really don't care.
It's shocking, actually. People like you more when you push them to be better.
Correct.
It's true. It's true.
I mean, I liked kind, gentle Lex, but I like being pushed too.
I think you respected me more.
I do.
Yeah. I do. I think it's interesting. I do. The other thing I personally struggle with is when people say like, oh, when are you going to get these weekends off or like that type of thing. I still feel that sometimes. And then I remember like, wait, I've committed like my time. I can still control my schedule.
Sure.
However, like I don't mind working on the weekends. I also like waking up and having a productive weekend. I like my life. I like who I am. I like what I do and I like how I do it.
Yeah. And you chose it.
I chose it.
Yeah, it's not like you fell into it.
Exactly. At any point, I could choose, I don't want to work Saturday, Sunday. At any point, I could shift my schedule and say, I don't want to do mornings. But it's so funny, the people who say, oh, and I'm like, no, this is my decision.
And you kind of, if you want to be a successful trainer, have to work when other people are not working.
That's exactly right.
mean, that it is what it is.
It is what it is. Sorry if that is the realest thing if you want to be in the fitness industry or any kind of service industry, honestly.
Really? Right.
Like
if you want to be a chef or any of those kind of jobs, you have to work when other people are not working.
Exactly. And honestly, I think that's becoming so much more common. I don't think people want that normal lifestyle anymore. I think people are moving away from that. They want flexibility, but they also are not afraid to change their schedule around. It's really not that much different. I have as much time off as anybody else. I just get to run my errands at noon on a Tuesday.
Which is awesome because nobody's at Target then.
Exactly. Exactly. Nobody can watch me spend $500 at Target.
Well, there's the eye in the sky. But anyway.
That's true. So I think there are different ways to get over that self-consciousness and that caring what other people think, but it's building up your own sense of self, which is easier said than done.
But don't you find yourself happier when you make the realization that I care what I think?
Yes.
Myself.
Yes. I care so much what I think.
Is this the right decision for me? Mm-hmm. Kind of back to, am I making the decision for the person I want to be?
Yes.
Not who everyone else wants me to be. Mm-hmm. And yes, have I ruffled some feathers? Uh-huh.
And I'm proud of those ruffled feathers.
Sometimes. And have some people that were maybe a little bit more prominent in my life, not so much anymore. Yep. And have other people become more prominent. Yep. Now, of course, there are certain people you're going to care what they think. I care what my husband thinks.
Absolutely.
My kids, my mother. There's people that you care for sure. But even them, they've said to me, well, really? Or what?
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, I'm doing it.
I think those are the hardest ones. I think actually the people in your closest circle are the ones maybe you have to fight the most and say, hey, this is what I'm doing. If they're not supportive, I know relationships in which the husband and the wife do not support their either healthy choices or their choices to join a gym,
right,
or their choices to go to the gym 3 times a week, or their choices to say, hey, I'm not going to eat that, I'm going to eat this. And you care about that person's opinion because you want them to continue to like you. You want them to continue to love you. What if that person stops loving your choices one day?
I mean, sure, if you've chosen this person to be your life partner,
yeah, it's a scary thought, right? Like, so it's those things that maybe the harder people to not fight, but
compromise. I mean, I can speak from experience. There's compromise, and then there's just,
hey, this is what
we're
I'm
going to
have
have a conversation about it, and I hope you can
accept
be on
it.
board. But even if you can't, this is happening.
It's happening.
Yeah. And those are the toughest.
I think they are. And even like I think obviously my parents, I think so highly of what my parents think of me. Their opinion is very valuable to me. So if they say I shouldn't do something, if actually, I'm not going to lie, if I do something that I don't think they're going to like, I just don't tell them about it.
What are we, 12?
I'm still 27. And I still don't tell them.
That's okay. I'm 55. I don't always tell my mother everything.
Yes, exactly. No, I tell my mom everything.
Okay.
I'm winking. So being aware of that is super important. It's just your choices are your own business. I think it is being easy, being younger, not having children, living in my own home. I have a lot of factors that, you may not have, or, if you have young children and the parents at school or something along those lines. I'm definitely at a stage in life where I can honestly do whatever the heck I want. And I love that.
But you're setting the tone for your future as well.
Yes.
You are.
I am.
And I'm actually very fortunate that almost everything I've chosen to do or decided to do or decided to take on, my husband has supported me. And you know that.
I know he has. He's gotten on board. He wants to be a part of it. He wants to train with you. He wants to.
Yeah.
He is honestly one of the most supportive people I've seen. It's a relationship that I find as it's a role model. It's a role model.
And
marriage.
I think we've been very supportive of each other, so it makes it easier. Even if I think he's doing something that I'm like, and he or him, me, probably more likely, he's gotten right on board.
I love that. And that's the thing. If it doesn't harm each other, if it doesn't harm your finances or each other, then what's the big deal? I guess I'm that's the biggest thing. I'm not settling for anybody telling me. I'm very headstrong. If I'm gonna do something, I'm just gonna do that thing.
Yeah.
And that's been issues with certain relationships, in my past. It's I know that about myself. So that's hard. You need to have that partner that supports you and says, hey, you're going to do this? Okay, cool. I'm on board. I'm going to support you. Just like when you ran for office, your husband was like,
what can I do to help?
That's literally how he responded.
I mean, at first he was like, are you kidding? And I'm
Yeah.
like, nope. And I showed him kind of a plan, and we had a meeting with some, people, the bigwigs that, suckered me in.
Yeah.
And then he's like, okay, what can I do to help?
Yeah.
And he was the first one out, delivering yard signs and standing in the wings when I was giving a speech, or
he was the truest
he actually held
supporter.
my cue cards a couple times for things.
I love that.
So yes, for sure. He was right there, and the kids too. So that's always been our goal, is to set that role model for our kids. And we've told them, don't expect anything less in a relationship.
That's amazing. Yeah. I think it's super important. It's hard. It's hard in all regards, whether it is your partner, whether it is your family members, your parents, your children, your siblings are the hardest.
Well, I don't have that. So
Yes. And Martha doesn't have any siblings. I have 2 brothers. My little brother doesn't care what I do.
so that's easy.
It's too far removed. My brother is very, he's so supportive. He's such a wonderful older brother, but he is a big brother. Like, he is for sure a big brother, and will definitely give me his opinion if he agrees or disagrees. But he's so supportive. He, like, we started our online virtual classes. He purchased 5 class packs, not one. He hasn't taken one class, but he purchased 5 class packs.
Any day now.
Yeah. No, he asked me recently. He's like, can I like get refunded for those? I was like, no, you cannot.
Well, maybe he can let friends use them or something.
No, he can use them. So sell them.
But you will always be his little sister. You have to remember that. It doesn't matter. You
Exactly.
guys will be 80 years old and you're still his little sister.
I know, but that is one of my favorite, is like, you're going to have those people that care in your life. And I would rather have someone care about me and care about what I'm doing. It's just shutting out the noise when you know what you're doing is going to empower you, or you want to do it. Right. So
No. And I think one of the things that I could never get on board with until the last couple years is other people's opinions of you are not your business.
Yeah, my mom told me that growing up. She was like, oh, they said something mean about you? Guess what? That's none of your business.
Yeah, and I kind of grew up in a household where it was always like, keep your voice down. What will the neighbors think?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and so I kind of
That's
had
so
that
funny.
mentality.
That was not us.
That was totally us growing up. And so that was a very different mentality. So for me to kind of come all the way around full circle to what someone else thinks of me is really none of my business.
No.
And so when people are like, well, I don't think, and I'm like, well, that's your opinion,
Yeah. And you know what's so funny too? I don't know. I did not come from that household. I just didn't.
Well, this frankly, this is a conversation my mother and I have even had in the last couple of years, when she's like, well, what will so-and-so think? Or what does, I'm like, Mom, I don't care.
Yes. And it's
she's like,
definitely
but you don't
her
care?
generation as
A little
well.
bit. Yeah. Because that's how she grew up. I mean, my grandmother was very much, what will the neighbors think?
Right.
So I'm like, I don't care what the neighbors think. I don't know the neighbors.
I
Barely.
think I've talked to the neighbors twice.
Yeah. Like, okay. Yeah. Whatever.
Exactly. I think, and I am looking at this book right now. I was looking for quotes, but it's one of my favorite books. I've brought it up in episodes before. It's recommended by my mentors at Burn Fitness. How to Win Friends and Influence People. It's by Dale Carnegie. And this is this book, though, is a good example of caring what people think. And I do want to bring it up because it's teaching you to remember people's name, to look people in the eyes. If you guys haven't read it, you'll read it and you'll think this is all common sense, but it's not. It's things a lot of us forget. And I would highly recommend it. But I think thinking about, what other people think, I just want people to think I'm kind. I want people to think that I care about them. And books like this, like How to Win Friends, like, you want to win friends in a kind way, in a way that makes you feel like you're agreeable, in a sense of you have a wonderful personality. I can see that you care about me. So caring what people think is definitely not a bad thing in that regard.
Correct. I agree.
Yeah. So I just wanted to point that out. But caring what people think, I guess the line is
not changing yourself.
Yes.
Yes. That's where it is for me.
Yeah.
And I've actually noticed that since I've gone kind of this mentality, and my confidence has gone up, and I spend less time trying to be a people pleaser.
Yes.
And just pleasing myself or doing what I know is right, that people they respect me more.
It truly is the case, even throughout your entire life, from being the kids in elementary school to middle school to high school into your 20s and later in life, you understand that when you are your most authentic version of yourself, that's when people actually start to like you more.
Right.
Because you just are you. And when you're authentic, you are like, oh, this is a very genuine person. And this genuine person, this is who they are. This is how they're showing up.
And it's less stressful. I'm not having to put on any airs. I am who I am.
I am who I am. Exactly.
Like it or don't.
Yes.
I mean, that's kind of where I'm at now. And I'm not like trying to obviously not be likable, but
No.
it is what it is.
Yeah. Yes. I think every day, though, I'm still going back to that. We're shooting towards being the women that we want to be in 5-10 years, whoever that is. And I think if you act in that way of the woman that you want to be, who is the person that you inherently are, right? I think you'll be very proud of that outcome as well. And making your decisions on a day-to-day, whether that means maybe I'm the opposite. Maybe that is the person who, my best friend loves to travel. She loves it. She's traveled more than anybody else. And she was like, I would rather travel with no money in my pocket and experience the world. Whereas, and I'm opposite. I'm like, I want money. But
it's okay. You can be different.
You can be different. But what I love is she's like, I don't care. I just want to experience it. She's like, I don't care where everybody else is at. I don't care that all these people are getting married and engaged. She's like, I don't see myself doing that for 10 years. I see myself doing this life. And I think it's the most genuine thing when people are real with what they want, who they want to be, and don't let, okay, everybody else is getting married. I guess I better rush on that. But
that never goes well.
It never does.
No.
Or I better buy a house because everybody else is buying a house.
Right.
And that's kind of where I'm at in life, where you see all these people progressing their lives in different ways.
But their progress doesn't necessarily mean somebody else's progress.
No, it doesn't. And I think that's another stepping into what you want and what you want your future to look like. And when you look back at these years in your life, whether it's 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, are they going to be successful to you? And are you going to say, oh, if I would have done it differently if I wasn't so self-conscious of what somebody else thought?
Exactly.
Wow, this is an awesome episode. This was kind of on the fly.
Something we were just happened to be talking about, and you said we should record.
Yeah. And we're like, let's not preface this, or let's just get into it. So guys, per usual, thank you all for joining us on I Got This Pod. We'd love to hear from you.
Absolutely. And, be true to yourself. I think that's one of the biggest life lessons I've learned in the last few years. Yeah.
Be true to who you are, be authentic, and just do what you want to do without caring what others think. All right.
I got this.
I got this. Martha, I dare you to paint your face blue and streak across the neighborhood in the middle of the day. Will you do it?
No, because I would never face paint my... I had a good answer.
No? Why do you care what people think so much?
I would have to paint it green. That's what I was trying to say.
Martha, I dare you to climb to the top of the nearest telephone pole with a microphone. You know those big megaphones?
Yeah.
And I want you to scream in that megaphone at the top of your lungs something outrageous. Would you do it?
Yeah. That sounds fun.
Okay, I wanted you to say no. Martha, I dare you to paint your face blue and run across your neighborhood in your undies holding a chicken. Would you do it?
Well, no.
Why do you care so much what other people think?
Because I'm a go green kind of girl, and my face would be green. And I'm not a big fan of carrying chickens. Thanks for joining us. If you enjoyed what you heard, please go to wherever you listen to podcasts and give us a 5-star rating. Also, follow us on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook at I Got This Pod. See you next week. And remember, I got this.